Welcome to the Spare Parts Storage Process Descriptions, and thank you for your interest. We hope you'll take time after this short presentation to explore the other Triad Unlimited presentations on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and visit our website to see all our service and training offerings. The first function is SP1, Spare Parts Storage. Function SP1 is about storing things, where things are stored, how they're identified, how they're kept secure while they're stored, and why things have to be maintained while stored. There are four processes in this function of spare parts storage. PR1, the first process, is spare part storage layout, which defines where things are stored and why. Process PR2, spare part organization, defines storeroom location and part labeling. The third process, spare part security, PR3, defines how access to spare parts is controlled. And finally, PR4, spare part care, describes which assets to maintain while stored and what maintenance is required. Spare part storage provides us with several benefits. Having rules around where and how spare parts are stored increases available space, worker efficiency, while decreasing lost parts and stockouts. Consistent labeling promotes efficient item location. Defining security requirements promotes loss prevention and enhances after-hour usage record keeping. Identifying necessary storage maintenance ensures parts remain viable for use when requisitioned for installation. Storeroom layout strategy is based on type of parts and part transaction volume. The short version is that similar parts should be stored together, and high-volume parts should be stored where they are accessible. This isn't about aesthetics. Storeroom physical layout makes work more efficient by reducing the time that's necessary to find and issue parts. The general rules for layout are high-moving items at the front, similar parts together, and parts that are related to a specific machine grouped together. Now, this will result in conflict for some items. For example, should a high-use bearing be next to the gate? Should it be in the bearing section or with the other components on a specific machine? The answer will vary based on a variety of factors, but in general, we find that the factors are listed in order of importance on the slide. The storage of parts can be centralized or decentralized. A mixed form of these storage methods is possible, and it's recommended that frequently used parts are stored locally near the point of use. Larger sites might find it beneficial to have satellite storage locations in the plant. This reduces travel time to and from the storeroom and can reduce unplanned downtime. They can also be used for consumables to help minimize spare parts being issued at the counter and traffic in the store area. One benefit of using a storeroom layout plan is increased storage space. Storage space is always at a premium. Often, storerooms are built during site construction, and they're sized for the initial site processes. Over time, things collect, and the storeroom becomes grandma's basement, where things have been put temporarily or stored because nobody knew what else to do with them. Just-in-case storage takes a toll as well. The complaint of being out of storage space can be valid, but the root cause is typically a combination of poor layout and improper equipment than it is too much stuff. The other main benefit is being able to inventory stock accurately to avoid lost parts and stockouts. One of the most accurate indicators of the general state of a site is the organization of its storerooms. When a storeroom is in shambles, which is common, the downstream processes that depend on the storeroom, like maintenance, will no doubt be in the same state. So following a plan to get organized is a great way to begin to be able to apply the work that's done in the reliability management system. A professional storeroom design doesn't fix any systemic issues with process control or employee behavior, but a clear, clean storeroom gives the message to each employee that there is order in the storeroom and processes that need to be followed. This starts with an effort to get rid of unknown or unnecessary parts, organizing the remainder based on the principles that we've just discussed, then making sure it stays that way. When we do this, it becomes obvious when things are out of place or missing, and because everything is labeled and organized, there's no hiding places for parts to disappear into. Stockouts become a thing of the past. High turnover items are up front and in view. The attendant sees those items all the time, so low inventory is noticed and remedied promptly. Paperwork and record keeping is honored. Since employees don't have to scrabble around hunting for parts, storeroom customers are happy to comply with record keeping, far more so than hunting through a mess to find a part. So storeroom layout is a signal to the business regarding our asset management program, and the physical realization of the benefits of risk-based asset management starts here. Process 2 is spare part organization. The main first step in this is developing and implementing a strategy for naming and labeling spare parts and the rest of the storeroom inventory. This strategy usually takes form of a procedure. It's important to record the intent and method for executing and sustaining order. Every storage space must be identified in terms of location and contents. A location code system should be developed and controlled. The idea is that every storage area can be precisely pinpointed by cross-reference to the part it contains. A great way to begin to implement this is to create a storeroom map and post it in plain view of all the customers. Each part has a single bin location in the storeroom, unless you're using satellite storage. Barcode label system should be used to identify bin location and spare parts wherever possible. Complete labels have the barcode, the CMMS unique spare parts number, a description of the part, and bin location number. Barcode labels are controlled by printing them from the CMMS part record. The third process in spare parts storage is spare part security. Security is not really about not trusting people as much as it is about preserving the storeroom processes and storeroom accuracy. On the other hand, there's generally a lot of money tied up in a storeroom, and some parts are useful and valuable outside the use intended for the business. So, security. Small steps are usually necessary to implement this practice, going from free access to parts and lax record keeping to access cards and computer checkout systems is usually a traumatic experience for the organization. Going from chaos to a little less chaos and everybody staying happy is a sustainable victory. Personnel access to stores and warehouses holding spare parts should be clearly defined and controlled as a first step. All transactions and movements, such as receiving and picking of spare parts, should be controlled and recorded. If the sites don't provide a 24/7 management of the stores, they should have an after-hours process that gives speedy access to the parts while still ensuring that the transactions are recorded accurately. There needs to be a system in place to keep the access points from being left open for extended periods of time as well. Part storage is spare part care. There's a little bit more to spare part management than just being able to find parts or protect them from getting ripped off by people. Some parts require care while being stored. Some parts have a shelf life that needs to be honored. Others need special storage environments like freezing or being kept warm. And then you have to think about chemical properties and flammability. These considerations all need to be defined and controlled as part of the spare part management program. Any spare parts that do require special storage conditions, like a controlled environment, should be stored together. And storage of spare parts should be done under storage conditions that follow manufacturer's recommendations. The storage orientation should be considered for any spare parts requiring maintenance, like rotating the shafts on motors. The shaft should be accessible for maintenance. All spare parts must be stored according to the principles of shelf life. Use-by dates should be managed through the store's procedures and the CMMS. Let's summarize the function. Spare part storage is all about organization, getting rid of useless parts, organizing the available space, and sustaining the processes. Becoming more sophisticated in spare part management sets the stage for improved asset reliability. Without an organized storeroom, no downstream process is going to improve much. The importance of devising a spare part management program and executing it from a well-conceived storeroom cannot be overstated in its overall effect on morale and employee engagement with the asset management processes. This concludes the spare part storage process descriptions presentation. Thank you for participating.